This is 8-Minute Climate Fix, a podcast helping you understand the energy and climate challenge in just a few minutes. I'm your host, Paul Schuster. It's been a couple weeks since New York Climate Week wrapped, culminating in thousands of events across the city and countless sustainability, climate, and clean energy advocates descending upon New York to craft a way forward in an increasingly polarized environment. And we're only a few weeks away from the World Gathering in Brazil for the 30th Conference of Parties, or COP. We're in the middle of conference season, so maybe it's a good time to reflect on what's being said, what isn't being said, and how the climate community is reacting to the challenges ahead of us. 8 minutes. It's how long it takes the sun's race to hit Earth, or about how long it's been since I last posted an episode. Okay, it's been a minute, but that just means we have a lot to catch up on. Let's get it on. For the 27th year, New York hosted its annual Climate Week. For 7-ish days, Manhattan was the epicenter of all things climate as thousands, if not tens of thousands, participants descended upon the city. The organizers of this year's effort report that over 1,000 events were organized during the course of the week across all parts of the city, and that doesn't include the untold number of dinners or non-certified events that companies and organizations held. Climate Week is always a bit of a chaotic mess, running from one event to another and navigating the intricacies of New York's subway system. But this year, the tenor of the week was different than in the past. Certainly, the headwinds coming out of Washington contributed to that, but maybe not in the way that I was expecting. There were a few main themes that emerged in the sessions that I attended and in the conversations I had with friends and colleagues. First, the conversation has shifted from one of accounting to accountability. What do I mean by that? Namely, that companies and organizations are looking beyond compliance and towards how sustainability drives value for the business. Let's face it, for the past few years, our profession has become one of accountants, measuring, monitoring, and reporting on our sustainability factors, often in order to meet compliance requirements either through voluntary or mandatory reporting. The hope, and I put that word in quotes, was that a different presidential election outcome in the U.S. would have ushered in a series of SEC and other compliance requirements mirroring efforts in Europe, Japan, and elsewhere, which would have kept sustainability professionals gainfully situated to continue measuring, monitoring, and reporting on their efforts. What has been missing, frankly, has been the action. How do we take those next steps to meaningfully reduce waste or emissions? What can we do to change our processes and governance structures to build resiliency, community engagement, and social responsibility into our value chains? It's a poor silver lining, but maybe one of the outcomes of the shift in the global conversation around climate is that organizations are now realizing that building entire constructs around simply complying with regulations isn't enough. Accountability is required too. And that's why the tone in New York was more encouraging than I had been expecting. Senior leaders have grasped this need to finally deliver upon the business value of sustainability and take that next step after the measurement has been made. This is a good thing for everyone. For as long as companies thought about sustainability as a compliance-driven exercise, it was always going to be a cost center. Now we have the chance to rewrite the narrative to one of creating business value, driving efficiency, reducing resource waste, and improving business performance. That sure sounds like a more resilient business function than just compliance. Oh, sure. Compliance is still a big part of any sustainability journey. I sat in on a couple of sessions on how companies are preparing for California's new regulations requiring disclosure on scopes 1 through 3 emissions, as well as the company's material climate-related risks. There's a lot to do there, and there are quite a few companies, primarily on the private side, that haven't gone through those exercises yet. But there are also a lot of public companies that know their metrics and are now being tasked with taking those next steps to actively reach their targets. We're now 5 years from 2030, when a host of publicly stated corporate climate ambitions are coming due. Here at NTT Data, we have a public commitment to be net zero across our data centers by 2030. Walmart has indicated that they're looking to reduce emissions from operations by 65% by then. And Microsoft goes even further and is looking to be carbon negative by 2030. actually removing more carbon from the atmosphere than it puts in every year. But these are ambitious targets for a reason. They're tough to do. Walmart, in January of this year, indicated that their operational emissions have been creeping up due to business growth and stated that their near-term targets of 2030 may be out of reach. And Microsoft? Well, they've been caught up in the AI boom like every other tech company recently, and their 2025 sustainability report indicated a 23.4% increase in emissions as a result. It's going to be tough to get to net zero, much less net negative with that type of growth. But here's the thing. I was expecting the dual headwinds of reduced compliance and overly ambitious climate targets to resonate throughout the events in New York. I was fully expecting companies to take the easy way out and shelve sustainability initiatives in the near term. Sure, Climate Week is a bit of an echo chamber, but I was pleasantly surprised by how my initial fears seemed unfounded. Indeed, over 75% of companies were not only re-upping their climate targets, but many were going even further with their commitments. Leaders were shifting away from regulatory reports and leaning more into tying sustainability to business value. Is there a need for more investment? Of course, always. But the energy around doing something has never seemed to be higher. In about a month, Brazil will host the next big climate event on the schedule with COP30. And while the COP has become something of an exercise in administrative bureaucracy, it still plays an important part on the global stage. Watch the conversations coming out of this year's event. See if companies are leaning too much towards requiring their national governments to set the regulations and policies to follow, or whether industry is going to step up and lead from the front. My guess from New York is that industry is going to do just that. We're done waiting for governments to act. It's time to do so ourselves. I'm Paul Schuster, and this has been your 8 Minutes.